WNBA ratings' worst nightmare just came true because it was just announced that Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season. She's only played 13 games this season, and her most recent injury, which happened back in July, was a groin injury. The craziest part about all of this has been the reporting around her injury. The team has never given her a timetable for return. Some fans were even speculating that they've just been stringing fans along the whole time because they know that ratings and attendance would drop once they announced that she's out, which is also so ironic that they announced it the day that football season started.
The WNBA just got hit with the wake-up call nobody wanted to face, yet everyone saw coming. And at the heart of it all is Caitlin Clark. The league's numbers are collapsing, ratings are nosediving, attendance is drying up, and what was supposed to be a golden era suddenly looks like smoke and mirrors. The so-called surge of momentum, more illusion than reality. For a while, Indiana was the one lifeline keeping everything above water. But with that anchor gone, the rest of the league is sinking fast, like a ship with no way to plug the holes.
So it's official. The most heartbreaking news for Indiana Fever fans that could come of the season, but Caitlin Clark will not be returning to the 2025 WNBA season. She took the liberty of posting it herself because there were many people asking to hear from Caitlin Clark, to hear how she felt about the entire situation.
Everything came crashing down with a single announcement. Caitlin Clark's season-ending injury didn't just sideline a player, it shattered the league's entire historic rise narrative, exposing it as nothing more than a marketing stunt fans aren't buying anymore. The excitement? Gone. The momentum? Dead in the water. And inside front offices, it's not worry anymore. It's full-blown panic. What we're seeing now isn't strategy, it's desperation spreading like wildfire. The WNBA gambled everything on one superstar, and now they're staring directly at their biggest nightmare. Who do you think shoulders the blame for this disaster? Drop your thoughts below. Let's get into it.
I hope to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play the season. I spent hours in the gym every day with a singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I'm feeling. I want to thank everyone who has had my back through all this uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. And the way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I'm so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year.
The league's ultimate draw, the one player who turned every arena, every broadcast, and every highlight into must-watch TV is officially out for the season. After weeks of silence, vague answers, and endless speculation, Caitlin Clark finally ended the suspense. I will not be returning this year. Just one sentence, but it landed like an explosion. The Indiana Fever can finally drop the false hope of a miraculous comeback. There's no timeline, no return date, no safety net, just a massive void where the league's brightest star once stood. And the fallout? It's not confined to Indiana. The shockwaves are rattling the entire WNBA, and the panic is only getting louder.
Reform for the WNBA is being largely ignored by the media. Largely ignored by sports media. Not considered a real professional league, to the point where people didn't even know it existed until CC22. That's just a fact. You can't believe how many times I have people come in the chat and say, I didn't even know that there was a professional women's basketball league until Caitlin. Yeah, it's the fact.
Let's look at the numbers, because numbers don't spin the truth. With Caitlin Clark on the court, Indiana's games pulled an incredible 1.26 million viewers on average. That's the type of spotlight most leagues only dream about. But the second she went down on July 15th with that groin injury, everything collapsed. Viewership plunged to just 400,000 a game, a staggering 70% drop. And remember, those figures were padded by fans still clinging to the hope she might come back. Now that her season is officially over, that drop-off isn't a slide, it's a free fall. This isn't just a decline, it's a black hole swallowing the WNBA, and there's no clear way out.
Clark saying that she tried to get back on the floor. It appears that she just ran out of time, not able to get enough confidence back in her body as the season wraps up and the playoffs are likely about to begin for Indiana. I mean, it's a gut punch that basically encompasses an entire season of them. The Fever have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a weight for this second season after her magnificent rookie season.
Without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA feels empty. It doesn't resemble a thriving professional league. It comes across more like a struggling support group, scrambling to convince fans it still matters. This was the league's big chance to prove it could sustain interest without her, but the outcome was brutal. Ratings on NBA TV sank another 40% once. Clark was sidelined. The difference is staggering, almost embarrassing. This isn't simply about one star being out. It's the harsh reality that the entire league is built on fragile ground, a foundation cracking like a house of cards.
This has been a huge disaster as far as public perception for the WNBA. An entirely new group of people started tuning in to this league for one player and one player only. In fact, so many new people tuned into this league, the viewership for the Caitlin Clark games largely surpassed anything else going on in the WNBA. I would argue that the amount of Caitlin Clark fans are at least 3x.
Commissioner Kathy Engelbert can celebrate Caitlin Clark as the most popular athlete in America all she wants. But that title comes with a crushing reality. When an entire league's relevance hinges on one player, every injury becomes a crisis that shakes the foundation. Decades of work to establish stability vanished overnight. Clark's arrival was the WNBA's lifeline to mainstream relevance, but now, picture the playoffs. Picture the finals without her. Those games won't feel like marquee showdowns. They'll look more like glorified scrimmages. The Fever themselves are collapsing, barely hanging on to 7th place, and without Clark, a finals run isn't even in the conversation. This was supposed to be a contender, powered by her vision, energy, and star power. Instead, they're a hollow shell, missing their leader, their floor general, and the marketing force that made them must-watch. Strip Clark away, and what's left is just another average team, and nobody is tuning in for average.
When she was supposed to return versus the Minnesota Lynx, supposedly, and then the Scott Agneses and all them start talking about she suffered a bone bruise in Phoenix, I told y'all it was a wrap. It was done. It was done. They knew it. And I believe they've known far longer. They have known. They've kept us fans in the dark, and it sucks. It absolutely sucks. Man, I was so looking forward to watching Caitlin Clark play this season. Now we have to wait an entire offseason, and we don't even know what's gonna happen. There might be a lockout. There might not even be a 2026 season.
The financial picture makes this even more staggering. Sports economist Ryan Brewer estimated Caitlin Clark's impact could reach $1 billion in just one season, and that wasn't limited to Fever revenue. It stretched across merchandise sales, broadcast deals, tourism, and the cultural wave she created. Her influence reached far beyond basketball. Clark became a global icon, selling jerseys faster than Nike could keep them in stock and filling NBA-sized arenas night after night. Meanwhile, most of the league is still struggling to turn social media engagement into sponsorship dollars. The gap between Caitlin Clark and everyone else isn't just about skill, it's about cultural pull. She isn't simply contributing to the WNBA's economy. She is the WNBA's economy.
She knows just how much she means to everybody that buys those tickets. I mean, I would say at least like 90 to maybe not 95, but like 90% of the people in arenas were there to see Caitlin Clark, which of course they became fans of the Fever afterwards. But you know, Caitlin Clark is the draw. And then here's this one where she's actually in her street clothes. And yeah, these are, you know, pretty heartfelt photos, her in the huddle with her teammates. But I gotta say, this was quite a year. I mean, there came a certain point where people, including myself, were just like, what is actually going on?
Right now, the panic is impossible to ignore. Think about it. Throughout the 2024 season, players seem more focused on taking shots at Caitlin Clark than elevating their own game. Cheap fouls, hard elbows, endless trash talk. It became a full-time obsession, and now those same players are staring out at half-empty arenas, wondering why the spotlight isn't shining on them. The jealousy that fueled all of it is about to be exposed for what it really was, a waste of time. because the very player they tried to bully out of the league is gone. And with her, so is the WNBA's relevance. Here's the harsh reality. The league put its future on Clark's shoulders, but never protected her. She took more punishment than anyone. 17% of all flagrant fouls this season were against her. That's not bad luck, that's a pattern. And under Kathy Engelbert's watch, the officials let it slide. The result? The WNBA's one true megastar is now sidelined, and the league is left with the fallout. Empty seats, collapsing TV ratings, and sponsors starting to wonder if they invested in a sinking ship.
This season has been a complete train wreck. This season's been a complete disaster. We got the GOAT, who only played 13 games, missed basically the whole season. Wnba scammed us. Natasha Howard basically scammed us. Stephanie White's a liar. Amber Cox is a liar. Kelly Krauskopf's a liar. Now we have to go a whole offseason with the front office we don't trust, we don't believe in, we can't believe anything they say, and we don't know what's really going to happen with Caitlin Clark's health.
Let's strip away the spin and get brutally honest about what happened when Caitlin Clark went down. The league tried everything. Manufactured rivalries, forced storylines, hyped up drama, but fans weren't buying it. The so-called Angel Reese rivalry games without Clark, empty seats and dead energy, Chicago Sky matchups that were supposed to ride her momentum barely cracked 6,000 fans. Numbers that look more like a sleepy high school gym than a pro sports league. And remember, their arena holds nearly 10,000. In one of the country's biggest markets, they couldn't even fill their own building. The illusion completely collapsed before that June showdown. When word got out Clark wouldn't be playing, within 2 days, resale ticket prices crashed from $86 to just $25. That's not a dip, that's a free fall. The desperation was obvious everywhere. Teams built their schedules around Clark, even moving games into bigger arenas to cash in on the frenzy she created. But the moment she went down, they were exposed. Washington is the perfect example. The Mystics moved a game to Baltimore, expecting a Clark-driven sellout. But when she couldn't play, ticket prices tanked from $41 to a single dollar. $1 to get through the door. That's not demand, that's humiliation. And it proves one thing. When the WNBA puts all its hopes on one superstar, then fails to protect her from reckless officiating, the entire system comes crashing down the moment she's gone.
Caitlin Clark was hurt after that Liberty game. That's when they should have said, we need to wait this out until the All-Star break. But instead, they worried about their ticket sales, TV ratings, and all this stuff. So they actually had Caitlin Clark come back a couple weeks earlier than expected, and I think that's the real reason why she's out. They mismanaged this entire season. I don't respect the GM. I don't respect the president anymore. I really don't respect the coach. They all lied on false pretense. That's all they did. They kept lying and lying and kept stringing Caitlin Clark like a carrot on a string. And all these fans kept going to the games hoping that she'll come.
And this is where the knife cuts the deepest. Caitlin Clark's season-ending announcement didn't just hurt, it landed at the absolute worst time. Playoff positioning. With her on the floor, Indiana looked like a legitimate championship threat. Without her, they're reduced to a shell of themselves, just trying to scrape through the first round. How do you chase a title when your star player, your offensive engine, and the one person filling arenas nationwide is gone? You don't. The Fever's battle is no longer about winning, it's about damage control. And for the league, that's a nightmare scenario. The psychological impact is even heavier than the physical loss. Fans who booked trips, paid premium ticket prices months ago, and tuned into the WNBA specifically for Clark are now walking away. Social media is echoing the one line Kathy Engelbert feared most. If she's out, I'm out. That's devastating. The casual fans, millions of them who showed up because of her college stardom, are gone. Corporate sponsors who cut massive checks expecting her front and center are second-guessing their investments. And TV networks that built entire schedules around her are scrambling, fully aware that no amount of Liberty versus Lynx hype is ever going to match Caitlin Clark level viewership.
Only a huge blow for the Fever, but also for the entire WNBA. Caitlin was out with an injury back in June. Viewership dropped over 50% across the league. That's the kind of effect that she has on things. And it seems like from her post and how they announced it, Caitlyn was the one that was trying so hard to get back on the court. She has traveled to every single away game. She's always meeting with fans, taking photos, signing autographs, doing all of the things because she knows how many people come out specifically to see her. But I'm really interested to see what viewership and attendance looks like now that it's official that she's done. The hope.
This is the nightmare. Nobody at league headquarters dares to admit a WNBA finals without Caitlin Clark could be a complete disaster. The networks that were banking on record-breaking playoff ratings are now bracing for craters because, let's be honest, fans weren't showing up to see who won the trophy. They tuned in to see who could take down Caitlin Clark. Without her, the storylines collapse, the drama disappears, and the casual fans have no reason left to care. The ripple effect is enormous. ESPN and ABC, who already suffered a brutal 55% ratings drop the last time Clark was sidelined, are now staring at an entire playoff run without her. That's not a slump, it's a black hole. These networks built their coverage around her, leaned on her star power, and squeezed every headline they could out of her presence. Now they're left with a postseason that risks sliding into irrelevance. And here's the twist. Caitlin Clark doesn't need them nearly as much as they need her. That's the power shift nobody in the league office saw coming.
This has been a full circle moment for the WNBA. With all the chatter of Kathy Engelbert saying, oh, if one player gets injured, one player, well, you have it. That one player got injured. And now you have it. There's no conversation around the league. No positive, no negative, no conversation at all. The only media talking about the WNBA are the content creators, are the YouTubers, are people with podcasts, people with their own shows, etc., etc. But you go on to ESPN, nobody's talking about the W. You go on to Fox Sports, nobody's talking about the W. The WNBA has managed to turn off a fan base that would have elevated this league.
Let's pause for a second and recognize just how masterful Caitlin Clark's timing really was. She could have dragged this out, strung fans along with false hope of a miracle playoff comeback, and kept the league pretending everything was fine. Instead, she ripped the bandage off in one clean strike, one announcement, one sentence, and the dream was dead. It was the knockout blow at the moment the league least expected it, and truthfully, it made her look like royalty. While Kathy Engelbert and jealous rivals spent months targeting her, Clark flipped the entire narrative without even trying. The league had pushed the idea that the WNBA was bigger than any one player. Clark's announcement destroyed that illusion. Without her, the league doesn't evolve, it regresses. It reverts to what it was before she arrived, a niche product with a loyal but tiny base, struggling to half-fill 10,000-seat arenas and chasing TV ratings that barely move the needle. This isn't growth, it's collapse. And here's the cruel twist, it never had to come to this. If Engelbert and the referees had actually done their jobs, if they had protected Clark instead of letting her take constant hits and unchecked flagrant fouls, this moment could have been avoided. Instead, they let her become a punching bag, sacrificing long-term stability for short-term ticket sales. And now, they've lost the very star they built their empire around. It's the textbook definition of killing the golden goose.
I've got a couple of things. I've got my dude, Jason Whitlock, saying he's done. He's out. We've got Colin Cowherd saying, you know what? Guess what I didn't talk about on my show this year? The WNBA. Guess why? He just come out and said it yesterday. Because Caitlin Clark was not playing. That's why. He said, I led my show, my biggest, largest national sports radio show in the country. I led my show with Caitlin Clark 6 times last year.
Fans notice it. They're tuning out, walking away. Sponsors notice it. They're quietly pulling back their dollars. Networks notice it. They're bracing for playoff ratings to crash. And for the first time, league executives are being forced to face the truth everyone else already understood. Caitlin Clark wasn't just the biggest name in the WNBA, she was the WNBA. Without her, there's nothing left worth selling. This postseason won't feel historic, groundbreaking, or must-watch. It'll feel hollow, like the soul has been ripped out of the game. And here's the brutal irony. Clark gets to sit back, heal up, and watch it all implode. By stepping away, she delivered the most devastating passing judgment possible against a league that failed to protect her. She's not just another victim of bad officiating. She's proof that the WNBA is only as strong as the superstar it leans on. And now that superstar is gone. The panic is real, the collapse has begun, and the league is scrambling to figure out how to sell a postseason nobody ever wanted. The WNBA is about to learn the harshest truth in sports. When you build everything around one player, you protect that player at all costs. Kathy Engelbert and her referees failed miserably, and now they're left with a product that looks emptier by the day, without Caitlin Clark there to save it.